As always, I am your host, Coach Vic. I am glad to be here with you. I got a very important lesson because this is actually some personal stuff I'm going through right now. And it's amazing how when you think you have everything figured out, something in life comes and humbles you. Now, what I'm talking about has nothing to do with an actual deal or anything like that, but it's a little bit of a retrospective, looking back on my most recent deals, a deal I just turned down today I was going to do, and I just kept like, I don't know if I want to do this deal. And I just kept finding more and more evidence of like, nope, not a good investment, even though it's dirt cheap. I start to realize how I'm sabotaging myself. Sure, I'm making money, but there's a lot more on the table that I'm leaving behind because of some of the things I'm going to talk to you about in this talk. So as always, you can hear, you can see me, everything's good. Let me know whether you're watching live or the replay. I will be glad to make any adjustments. You know how technology can be sometimes. So without further ado, let's get into this. So are you personally striking out on your land deals? Maybe you sent out a ton of offers and you got nothing in return. Maybe you actually have some properties available on the market, but nobody's biting. Perhaps you are getting stuff going left and right and things are working, but the amount of ROI you're getting is not as high as it could be. Maybe you wanted to get a deal in all cash, meaning you sold it for the full amount, but you can only find people or properties that people want in terms, meaning they put a down payment on and then pay you monthly. If that's the case, I think I may have some information for you that may help. Again, this is personal. So let me say this. I've come to recently understand for myself, and this is probably true. Maybe this happened, something happened to me as a kid or so. I don't know. I have to think more about it. But what I've noticed is that if I don't work extremely hard, if I don't push and struggle and fight, I don't feel like I deserve the success I'm getting. Like it came, quote unquote, too easy. And because of that, I self-sabotage. I start to make things that should be simple, that should be quick, that should be easy, more difficult than they need to be. So the ego, the inner 7-year-old, the lower self, the inner bench warmer, whatever you want to call it, is quote unquote correct. They are right. You only get success by dragging and fighting and clawing your way to success. And as you know, this business is not very difficult. You don't got to be very smart. You don't have to have a lot of money. All you just got to do is just go through the motions. And if you do it consistently, you will make money. And if you do it with a little intention, you're going to make a ton of money. But when inside, if you're like me and you feel that everything has to come hard, and you feel everything must be a struggle, and you feel like, oh, it just can't be that easy. Well, guess what? Your brain will find ways to make sure that you're correct in that. That's how powerful our subconscious is. We always want to be right. And I'm not just talking about trying to be right on an internet forum or on a, Instagram live, argument or whatever it is. I'm talking about how we view ourselves and the world around us. We want to make sure that is congruent with what we think is going on, because if it's not, that means something is wrong, at least according to your brain. And if something is wrong, you're in a dangerous spot. I want that to sink in for a minute, because this is extremely important, because this is why I believe a lot of people don't actually get started with land when they actually say they want to get started, or when they're doing it, they may be putting in a lot of effort, but it's a lot of misplaced effort. And so they're wasting a lot of time, money, and energy. But in reality, it's just their brains self-sabotaging. Like, nope, nope, nope. This is not supposed to be that easy. Nope, 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 nope. What do you, no, oh, nope, nope. Well, I'll make sure it's not easy. That's the only way this will make sense to me. It's the only way I can process it. All right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You don't just see this in land investing. Like, one of my favorite examples of watching this is when I'm playing pickup basketball with a lot of players, especially if they're like JC players, or they could even be a 4-year college player. A lot of them, especially these days, they just want to dribble, and shoot a three, right? They're not looking to pass, cut, do all the things that they hopefully learned in high school and middle school. Hell, even their JC coach probably tells them to pass, cut, be a team player and all these things. And then they wonder why they don't win games as the day goes on. So when you're young, of course you have more energy. You can run longer. You can, start with fresh legs and all that. But then after game 2, game 3, game 4, your shots don't fall. You don't get back on defense, all these other things. And like, they don't see that they're not doing the right things, right? But this is the problem. A lot of guys, they don't understand that the work that they're putting in versus what they're getting out doesn't match. They're trying to shoot Steph Curry shots, but they're not putting in Steph Curry work. They're not doing the thing that helps them be who they're supposed to be if they're going to play at the highest level. Now, here's the thing. There is going to be a time when you have to fight and struggle and claw and do everything you can to get a win. But there are also times when you don't have to do that and you shouldn't. And if you have a all or nothing mentality, you are going to self-sabotage. So this is what I want to start to bring on here. You guys ready for this? You hear this a lot when people say, I need to invest, but I want to pay off this credit card first. Or I want to get started, but I need to save up a little bit more. Or I need to do a little bit more research. Or I got to think about it, right? Do you see the issue with these statements? Do you see the issue? They're empty. They're thinking things have to be more difficult than they actually appear to be. They're thinking that, well, Coach Vic just kind of gave it all out, laid it all down, and it's got to be a catch. It can't be that simple. Yes, there will be some nuance. There will be some details that I just don't have the time to go over. And every deal is different for sure. I'm not saying that it's not. But the general process is the same. I also see this when this, like, hey, how much do you have to invest? Oh, about $15,000. Perfect. So if with that 15,000, we can buy something, between 10 and 15, sell it for $30,000 to $45,000. Like, oh, that sounds great. Then it's time to get started. Oh, well, I kind of want to just invest maybe just $1,000. You kind of see how it works, and I'm not really sure, right? You see the issue with that? They're thinking something is going to go wrong. And it's understandable, especially if you're doing something new. But it's like something's going to go wrong. It can't be that easy. Nothing's ever that easy. It must not be true. And again, it's not about it being easy because there's no effort involved. Of course, there's effort. But it's the proper effort. It's getting trained properly. All right, so how do we fix this? Well, you got to change your mindset about things. And in general, it's not just about, oh, okay, we'll just, believe and do some meditation and everything is going to work out. It's got to be a little bit more practical than that. So here's the thing. If you start to study greatness, you're going to start to see some common things. It doesn't matter whether it's a great athlete, a great business person, a great scholar, a great humanitarian. It doesn't matter. When someone's dedicated their life to being great at whatever they want to do, you're going to notice a couple of key things, right? They always leave success clues for all of us to follow. It's whether or not you want to do them or at least search for those clues, but every great person, intentionally or not, left you some success clues. So I like to model my favorite basketball player, Steph Curry. Even though we're nothing alike, I still love his game and I like the effort he puts in. But here's the thing. It's not just about hard work. It's about smart work. And the most important thing, the identity that he has cultivated for himself. The same way you don't want to be wrong when you're like, oh, things can't be that easy or life just doesn't work that way, is the same way Steph Curry believes every time he shoots a shot, it's going to go in. It's the same way he believes everything he does on the court is going to be a good thing because he's doing it. His sense of identity is so strong that his brain, just like our brains, does not want to be wrong. It has to be right. Our issue is that we actually use our brain in a negative, meaning that it looks for things to validate our limiting beliefs, our things that we don't believe in. Like, it just can't be that easy. That's how you guys send out a mailer for, you send out 6,000 mailers and get no responses. Why? Because you didn't do the smart work of proper research. You didn't do the smart work of following up with leads and having it easy for them to contact you before that. So we're going to think it's hard, so we make it hard. We think it's expensive, so we make it expensive. But again, he uses the opposite. He sees life as, of course I'm going to make that shot. Of course I'm going to do this because that's who I am. That's what I do. Like, it's like breathing. So our first step is becoming a real investor is to get that identity to actually do that. And then when people work with me, I actually, go through this with them, like how to cultivate the identity, because come on, we got to be honest here. A lot of us are trained to be employees. Think about it from early elementary school. Think about the structure of school. You're bused to school, or maybe you're dropped off by your parents, or you walk or ride your bike, whatever. But you get to school, you're told, hey, the bell's ringing, get into your seat. We're doing this now. It got to be done this way. Whatever the lesson is, English, math, science, whatever it is, it's got to be done this way. Now you're allowed a free time, recess. Come back in and sit in your seat. Don't move, be quiet, face forward. No. Don't be an individual here. Follow the group. Be like everybody else. Now you're allowed to eat. Now you're allowed to play. Now you're allowed to come back. Now you got to work. Now you're allowed to go home. We go into college. We got a little bit more freedom, but it's more or less the same thing. And then we get a job. How's it any different? The issue is our identity has been trained to be an employee. So when things aren't just presented to us, we have to question it. As in, here's your paycheck. You work this many hours. This is how much money you're going to get on the back end. That is not how this has to work. But then we're so trained in that way, and our brain doesn't want to be wrong because that's what it knows. That's what it feels safe with doing. So we find ways to sabotage ourselves on our mailers. We find ways to sabotage ourselves on our calls when we're acquiring property or when we're selling property. Instead of trying to figure out what's going on, we're looking for permission from somebody to actually do something about the problems we may be facing. I don't know if you guys hear me though. I don't know if you guys hear me. It's very important. So one thing I'd like to say, and it's so true, and as I'm realizing how I'm sabotaging myself, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I guarantee you, if you think about the ways you self-sabotage, and let's just say land, for example, you will find that in other areas of your life that have nothing to do with business. For example, there are times where I don't allow myself to relax with my family and my wife because I didn't, quote unquote, earn it. There are times where I'm afraid to ask my wife to do certain things for me, around the house or whatever it is, because I didn't earn it. For a lot of men, it shows up like, well, I don't make enough money. I can't be in my masculine energy because maybe my wife makes more than me, or my girlfriend makes more than me, or, I said I was going to do all these things and they haven't happened yet. I mean, I know I'm not alone in that, right? We've all, a lot of us has been there. Maybe it's not a relationship something. Maybe it's how you deal with your weight loss or your muscle building. Maybe it's how you deal with friends, family. Maybe it's how you deal with your hobbies. But you'll notice the same things you do to ruin yourself in other areas, they'll show up differently, but the same thought inside, that same identity that you have will come and it will mess it up in other areas of your life. So one last thing before I show you how to fix this. I remember early on when I first started land investing, I was like, how do I actually make a lot of money in this business? Like, I couldn't see past the rinky-dink tiny lots that I was just, quote unquote, training myself to see. And because of that, I was like, oh, there's no money in land investing. So then guess what? I jumped into the next shiny objects, even though I've made money in land investing, made a lot of money, but it wasn't like giant checks. They were available. I could have done that, but I wasn't trained. I didn't train myself to see those opportunities. Because again, land investing is just crappy lots in the middle of the desert. It is nothing lucrative. And because my brain didn't want to be wrong, I saw it that way. So when somebody else comes with the shiny object, hey, you can do some affiliate marketing. Hey, fulfillment by Amazon. Hey, why don't you open a Shopify store? I'm like, oh, and you're making those types of money? Oh, let me jump into this. Let me jump into that. Let me jump into this. And the same limiting beliefs that I've had but land, they showed up in these other things. I'm sure it's the same thing with you. If this is not your first rodeo, the first thing you try to do to make a little extra income, I bet you the same reasons why you didn't make money doing the thing before, it could have been wholesaling, it could be the internet marketing thing, whatever it was, is the same reason why you ain't making no money in land right now. So what do we do? Well, if you've been paying attention, the answer is simple. Change your identity. Help your brain to see you or see itself in a different way. So it's always using that, hey, I got to be right. I got to be right. I got to be right power to help enhance your life and not ruin your life. All right. So let's frame this as a land investor. Number one, I want you, close your eyes if you need to, picture yourself as a very successful land investor. All right. Picture that. I want you to think about these things. What are your goals? Like, what are the goals of a very successful land investor? Not your goals now, but of a very successful land investor, someone who does the big deals, they sell quickly, they have a great buyer's list, things just happen easily for that person. What goals does that person have? Next, I want you to think about this. What kind of things drive that person? If you're very successful, you're going to have a ton of money, so it won't be necessarily just be money. What drives a person to be successful at what they do in the long term? Next question I want you to ask yourself. What do you think that very successful land investor thinks about on a daily? I promise you this, it is not crazy crap that you see on social media. So what do you think they think about daily? Next, how does that very successful land investor approach their land research? I'm not saying you have to know exactly what they do, but what type of energy and effort and attention to detail do they apply when they're doing whatever methods they do to find land or areas to invest in? All right, got that picture in your mind? Next question, think about this. If they do find a deal, find some potential, do they wait or do they jump on it? If it's not the exact right price, what do they do? Next question. Does that very successful land investor get emotional when it comes to decisions, or do they just use data-proven systems? You don't have to know what those systems are, but which approach do you think they apply? When a land investor, that's very successful one, they see an opportunity as a cost, or do they see the opportunity as an investment? And if they see it at the cost, what type of deals would they be going after? Versus they see it as an investment, what type of deals would they go after? If a deal requires more capital than they have, what does that investor do? Do they just let the deal go? Or they figure something else out? Final question. When an issue comes up, what do you think they do? Do they give up? Or do they try to figure things out? Think about those questions. And when you have this done, so you may have to rewind this. When you have this done, you may be like me, feel like an idiot for like letting all the weird little details stop you from making real cash. As you can see from that exercise, it doesn't take much to just a shift how you see yourself and how you see things. It doesn't take much. Next, ask yourself this. What's the real reason why you haven't pulled the trigger yet? Be it starting on this, on that next deal, whatever it is, and be honest. Sure, you may just say, oh yeah, well, I don't have any money, or I got to do this thing first, or whatever it is. But if you think about that very uberly successful investor that we kind of envisioned in our mind, answering those questions, those excuses still hold up. Now, for me, I was thinking too small. I was like, yeah, I want bigger deals. But in order to get bigger deals, I got to do it a very specific way. It's got to happen just like this. And I got to have this money and this. No, 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 no. Number one, where did that idea come from? I couldn't tell you. It wasn't from reality. It wasn't from logic. That was emotion talking. That was my brain trying not to let me change and do things that I'm not used to doing. It was all bullshit. It was congruent to what I really believed about myself, but not to the uber successful investor that I was aiming to be. Now, if I want to invest in a 50K property, how many of us would be like, oh, I got to hold off on that? Versus how many be like, I'm gonna figure out to make this happen because I know I'm gonna make at least 100K on it, right? Sometimes it's something that seems logical, like, well, I got all this debt I got to pay off. I don't feel comfortable investing until I get this debt cleared and I can do it. But again, that's not the identity of an investor. That's not what an investor says. That's what a regular employee says. A fear-based person says. That's what I was saying. I don't know what you say, but I wouldn't be surprised it was something similar. We always have something that we're trying to wait for that perfect moment to jump in and take action. But I'm here to let you know the perfect moment does not exist. So for you, it could be some financial goal, some kind of event, some kind of something, you know, an arbitrary date like your birthday or the beginning of the month or whatever it is, or when you get your tax refund. All window dressing to make you feel better about not actually taking action. It doesn't help you make money, and it just makes things worse. So here's the thing. What I want you to do, I'm going to challenge you to do this. You can do what you want. You're an adult, but I would love for you to make a commitment to yourself if you really want to do this and figure out what you can invest right at this second, not when you get paid on Friday or not when the refund check, right now. If you can only invest $10, then you say that. Write that down. Stop your employee thinking, right? Don't just think I'm gonna work more hours and then no, that employee mindset got you in here. So think about what you can invest right now. Now, make the commitment, like I'm gonna take whatever this money is and I'm going to invest it. Invest it in land. And if it is $10, like, well, how can I invest in land? Well, guess what you can do? You can invest in some skip tracing. You can you can actually buy a property for $10 if the person owes enough back taxes. And they're just trying to get rid of it. Like, hey, here's $10 for your trouble. Or, you know, I'm not gonna give you any money for your trouble, but you're gonna need that $10 to, you know, mail things out or whatever. Now, no matter how small your budget is, I want you to look, there's the US is a very vast place. There's so many places where no matter what your budget is, there's a place where you can buy property there and sell it for a nice markup. Doesn't matter if your budget is $100 or 100,000. You find a place that supports your budget. I'll show you how to do that in escape velocity training. If you don't have that, let me know. I'll send it to you. I'll need your email address, of course, but I'll send it to you and I'll show you exactly that. Now, finally, last but not least, so you have an area, you're making a commitment to yourself. Now, I want you to start to make a daily routine to truly become that investor. Now, that doesn't mean you're buying property every single day. But what that does mean is that you can do what Steph Curry does. There's a couple of 8 steps. Number one, treat every deal as important, regardless of the size. Right? Number 2, make sure you're always getting a good night's sleep and you're keeping your body just well maintained so you have the energy to fight through your demons, to get through the day and add in that extra time to do the land investing if you're not doing this full time already. Number 3, develop a nice physical routine for stretching or strength training and stuff like that. So you feel good in your body. The better you feel here, the better your brain actually, the better your brain actually works. Right? It's just mind, body, soul connection. A healthy body helps create and promote a healthy brain, right? 4, do your mailing and marketing every day. If you don't have enough to mail, send text. If you don't have enough to text, cold call one by one. Do something to show this is important to you and that you're going to find an investment because you are an investor, not just some guy trying shit out. 5, start to study the market a little bit. See where the hotspots are. Even if it's a place that you cannot afford to invest in at the moment, understand where that is and how to find those hotspots so when you can do it. Understand what makes those places great versus other places. Right? That doesn't take any money. That's free. Next, visualize the whole thing unfolding of you actually finding an area, negotiating a deal, buying, selling, making the money. See it happen in your mind over and over and over again. So by the time that first deal or that next deal comes, it feels like it's something that's happened a million times because in your mind it has. Newsflash, your brain doesn't know the difference between your imagination and your memories. So you might as well use that to your advantage, right? And then the last thing, practice mindfulness, your breathing, being in the moment, not being too caught up with the past, not being too caught with the future, just right here and right now. The only thing that we have, be in the moment. So now, hopefully you can see the difference between someone who is quote unquote trying to learn how to do this or trying to invest for someone who is actually an investor. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter how much you've invested or not, will dictate if you're an investor. It would, the mindset, the identity, that would tell you if you're the investor. So here's a fun time. So now you get to actually shit or get off the pot. So if you're ready to really make things happen, you can start applying these things right now. If you need help, give me a call. I'll put my link below. You can book some time with me. We can figure it out. I can help you with all of these things. That's just kind of what I do. But if this is not something for you, that's fine. There's no judgment here, but just stop wasting your own time. You might as well spend your time doing something you will enjoy to uplift you. Pretending to want to land invest probably doesn't do that. But at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong. It's just what type of life do you want to lead? And after you understand that, does the identity you've cultivated for yourself promote that lifestyle? Or are you fighting against it every single day? All right, everybody, that's it for today. This is probably one of my most powerful and heartfelt live streams. Hopefully you guys found this useful. Yeah, again, I'll put my link below if you want to schedule a call with me. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.